Have you ever felt haunted by the same kind of relationship, over and over again? Do you wonder why you attract certain people who seem destined only to challenge your very soul, leaving you to question if you're cursed by fate? What if I told you that none of it, not the chance encounters, not the painful connections, not the people who feel like they were sent directly to you, is an accident? What you call luck, chance, or even misfortune is actually a powerful cosmic law in motion. It is the resonance of your inner world, a perfect and undeniable reflection of what your soul is crying out to face and heal. The legendary psychologist Carl Jung uncovered a profound secret about human connection, that souls meet long before our bodies ever recognize each other. He taught that every person who crosses your path is a messenger, a living mirror showing you the hidden parts of yourself you cannot yet see. In this video, you will not just learn a theory, you will be given the master key to decode your destiny and understand the invisible forces that shape your relationships. You will finally discover why these patterns repeat and, more importantly, how to harness this knowledge to attract the life and connections you truly deserve. But before we unlock this life-changing perspective, I want to feel the collective energy of our community. Tell me in the comments, right now, what part of the world are you watching from? I want to see just how far the powerful teachings of Carl Jung are reaching to help souls like yours. And as you do that, take 1 second to look at the subscribe button. An incredible number of you who find profound value in these videos haven't officially joined our journey yet. By subscribing and hitting that like button, you're not just supporting our work. You are sending a clear signal to the universe that you are ready for more wisdom, and you will not miss the next critical piece of your awakening. So, if you are ready to stop being a victim of circumstance and start becoming the conscious architect of your destiny, let's begin this journey inward. Carl Jung's clinical studies were full of moments that seemed like coincidences, but were actually profound triggers in the healing of his patients. A famous example tells the story of a woman who dreamed of a golden scarab, and at that moment a real golden scarab hit the window of Jung's office. It wasn't magic or chance. It was a message from the unconscious, a bridge between her inner world and outer reality. Have you ever wondered what external signals might be reflecting your internal conflicts? For Jung, the self was not just a set of thoughts inside the skull. It actively shaped how the world is experienced. When desires, fears, or internal conflicts reach a threshold, the unconscious projects those contents onto the external world. The people you meet are not mere extras in your life. They are symbolic agents who confront you, show you ignored parts of yourself, or help you grow. Who in your current life could be acting as a mirror of your psyche? Often these figures do not come to bring you comfort. On the contrary, many times they come to shake you up. Jung saw this shaking as a necessary part of the individuation process, integrating what you have repressed, rejected, or avoided. The people who irritate or provoke you the most are often the ones your unconscious has chosen for your growth. They make you feel hurt, frustrated, or confused, but in reality, they are only reflecting what you need to face in your inner world. Are you willing to see those relationships as opportunities for profound transformation? You never meet someone by chance. They appear at specific moments when your mind and soul are open, vulnerable, in transition, or questioning what you previously believed to be certain. Jung emphasized that when a psychological threshold is reached, the unconscious chant kintos activates, bringing archetypal figures into daily life, in dreams, visions, or in real people. Who has come into your life at a critical moment to remind you of what you have not yet integrated from yourself? Has it happened to you that after a significant change, a breakup, the loss of a job, a spiritual awakening, you meet someone who seems to embody your chaos or your inner hope? It is not a coincidence. It is synchronicity in action, your unconscious calling you to confront, integrate, and transform. People appear just when your psyche is ready, as mirrors that reflect your internal conflicts and your opportunities for evolution. Are you prepared to see every encounter as a call from the soul to explore the depths of yourself? Have you ever met someone and felt that the encounter was impossible to ignore, as if something greater had pulled the strings of reality to place them in front of you? Have you wondered why certain people appear just when you are on the verge of a change, an awakening, a crisis that seems to overwhelm you? Could it be that your unconscious, that silent and powerful part of your mind, was calling you to look at something you had hitherto avoided? Think for a moment about those times in your life where a simple exchange of glances, an unexpected message, or even a seemingly trivial accident changed the way you perceive everything. You call it a coincidence. But what if coincidences like these don't really exist? What if everything was designed to shake your soul, to push you to face what you have ignored out of fear or comfort? In Carl Jung's clinical studies, these coincidences were not mere accidents, but essential triggers for his patients to advance in their healing process. One of the most fascinating examples is the story of a woman who dreamed of a golden scarab. While she was recounting this dream, a real golden scarab hit the window of Jung's office, as if the external world had aligned with her inner world in a tangible way. For many, this might seem mystical, even improbable, but for Jung, it was a moment of clarity. The psyche is not limited to the head. It does not remain locked in thought. It shapes the way you experience everything around you. How many times have you ignored these signs, believing that life moves at random, without noticing that every person who appears before you could be a mirror of your inner world, a message disguised as everyday reality? The unconscious has mysterious ways of communicating, and one of them is through the people you meet. They are not mere extras in your story. They are symbolic agents who appear when your inner self is ready to be confronted. They can be a stranger who challenges your way of seeing the world, or someone close who forces you to look at your wounds head on. Have you ever felt that a person caused you an inexplicable discomfort, that you couldn't help but look inside yourself through their reflection? That is not a coincidence. It is the psyche calling you to integrate, to assume the part of you that you have kept hidden, to reconcile with what you reject or fear. Jung stated that the self does not seek comfort, it seeks integrity. And integrity, paradoxically, comes through conflict, through confrontation with the repressed. The people who bother you the most, who awaken emotions you would rather not feel, are often the ones your unconscious has chosen for you to grow. They shake you, they confront you, and in doing so, they show you what you have not yet integrated. Imagine for a moment that every argument you've had, every disappointment with someone, every emotional clash was actually a lesson designed for you, a reflection of your inner world asking for attention. You could start seeing your relationships this way, not as problems, but as maps to your own self-knowledge. You never meet someone at just any moment in your life. They appear just when you are on a vulnerable threshold, questioning your path, in transition, or even fearing what is to come. In those moments, the unconscious becomes more intensely activated, bringing figures that embody archetypes, patterns, and symbols that need to be recognized. Do you remember someone who arrived right after a deep breakup, a career change, a spiritual awakening, or a period of loss? Why did that person appear in your life then and not at another time? The answer lies in the synchronization of the unconscious with the external world. The psyche, in its silent wisdom, knows when you are ready to face what you had previously avoided. Think about how you have met people who seem to reflect your inner chaos, or conversely, the hope you wish to achieve. They are not coincidences. They are triggers, mirrors, and guides disguised as everyday reality. Every encounter carries a message waiting to be deciphered. What is that person showing you about yourself? What shadow, what trauma, or what projection are you ready to confront right now? Jung called this synchronicity, the simultaneity of events that are not causally connected but possess a profound meaning on a personal level. Every crossroads, every unexpected encounter is a reminder that nothing in life happens by chance. When you stop to observe, you will notice that these encounters often coincide with moments of profound change. So don't expect to be comfortable, expect to be conscious, ready to integrate, ready to assume your own complexity. The people who appear in your life when you are crossing a psychological threshold can be the spark that unleashes your transformation. They can push you towards a collapse, towards an unexpected expansion, but always with a purpose. Every significant interaction is an opportunity to look inward, to recognize what remains hidden, and through it, to grow. Do you dare to look at your encounters with this perspective? To stop seeing them as random and start perceiving them as messengers from your soul? Jung maintained that life is not a series of independent events, but an intricate fabric where the unconscious and external reality intertwine. What we call coincidences, when viewed from this perspective, become signals, reminders that we are connected to something larger than our conscious thought. How many times have you felt that life was sending you a signal that you didn't know how to interpret? How many messages have you overlooked, believing they were simple accidents? Every person who touches your life at a critical moment is a mirror of what you need to confront, integrate, and transform. And here is the paradox. Those who challenge you the most are often the ones who teach you the most. Every conflict, every wound reflected in the other, is a portal to a deep understanding of yourself. It is not about suffering senselessly, but about experiencing life in a way that the unconscious can show you what the conscious mind has ignored. Every disagreement, every emotional clash, every provocation is a reminder that integrity is not achieved by avoiding discomfort, but by confronting it. Are you willing to see discomfort as a silent teacher, as a guide that leads you to the totality of your being? The inner self, according to Jung, does not seek for everything to be pleasant. It seeks harmony with the totality of the psyche. And when the time for confrontation comes, when the people who represent your shadows appear, it is a call to recognize, accept, and integrate. Synchronicity is not an abstract concept. It is a living tool for self-discovery. Every unexpected encounter is a sign. Every significant person is a mirror. Every conflict is an opportunity to grow. Life in this sense ceases to be random and begins to be a conscious process of inner evolution. Have you ever wondered why certain people appear in your life over and over again, as if the universe were conspiring for you to meet them? Why do some souls seem to attract you with an invisible force, while others provoke an immediate, inexplicable rejection that makes no sense from the logic of our everyday life? Have you felt that just at the moment when you are most vulnerable or questioning who you are, someone bursts onto your path and turns everything upside down, leaving an emotional echo that lasts for days, weeks, or even years? Jung maintained that these encounters are not accidental. They are manifestations of the soul, living mirrors of what you carry hidden in your unconscious, of your desires, fears, wounds, and as yet unrecognized potentials. The soul not only wants to be known, said Jung, it also wants to be seen, and it does so through others. Not always directly, not always pleasantly, but always significantly. We are drawn to those who reflect what we need to observe in ourselves, what we have repressed, what we fear, what we long to heal. So why are you attracted to emotionally unavailable people, narcissists, manipulators, or wounded souls? Jung would say it's bad luck. He would say that these people are mirrors. They reflect what your consciousness cannot yet hold. They are physical images of internal patterns that require recognition and transformation. Every emotionally charged encounter is a silent call to look inward. Consider for a moment the patterns that repeat in your life. If you find yourself with people who abandon you over and over again, from the outside it might seem like a series of external betrayals, injustices of fate. But from Jung's perspective, each abandonment is a message, a reflection of your fear of intimacy, or a deep wound inherited from childhood. It is not a punishment. It is the unconscious's way of telling you, here is what you need to see. Every encounter, every conflict, every disagreement is a code waiting to be deciphered, a sign that you are ready to face what you have so far denied or ignored. Emotional intensity is the key to recognizing these encounters. If a person provokes an immediate reaction in you, intense connection, repulsion, fascination, fear, pay attention. These feelings are not accidental or superficial. They indicate that this person is touching a deep part of your psyche, activating archetypes, patterns, or shadows that need to be confronted. If someone infuriates you for no apparent reason, you are probably projecting your shadow onto them. If someone seems unsettlingly familiar to you, they might be activating an archetype from your collective unconscious. something that transcends your personal history and connects with universal symbols. Let's think about the encounters that mark a before and after in your life. A teacher says a phrase that transforms your worldview. A stranger offers you advice that resonates with a depth you never imagined. A friend introduces you to a book that changes your path. From the outside, they seem like coincidences, but from a Jungian perspective, they are starting points for your inner evolution. You don't need a dream to dialogue with your shadow. Sometimes the shadow appears in the form of a person, provoking you, loving you, abandoning you, with the intention of shaking your perception of the self. These encounters destabilize your old concept of yourself and open you up to a deeper, more authentic version of who you are. One of Jung's most powerful principles is that your inner world determines who you meet. You don't attract what you desire, but what you are. This includes both the conscious self and the unconscious parts you do not yet recognize. If you carry a repressed trauma, someone will appear. Who activates it? If you secretly fear being seen, someone will abandon you. It is not a punishment or a mistake of fate. It is the perfect synchronization between your inner lesson and the external manifestation you need to see and process it. If you are learning to love yourself, you will soon notice that you are surrounded by people who challenge your limits. These interactions are not coincidences. They are spiritual synchronizations, encounters designed by the unconscious to teach you what you need to learn at this moment. Sometimes the person is not even aware of their role. They may resist the connection or leave without notice. This is part of their symbolic function, to be a mirror, a trigger, a teacher, or a guide in your process of individuation. In Jungian psychology, people are never just people. They can be living symbols, reflections of your shadow, triggers of deep emotions, teachers who show you truths that transform your world, destroyers who break stagnant patterns, or guides who open paths of healing and awakening. You may be immediately attracted to them or reject them at first. The meaning goes beyond superficial affinity. A friend who shares a book, a partner who confronts your wounds, a stranger who listens to your story. Each can be a catalyst for profound transformation. Jung also introduced the idea of the collective unconscious. We are all connected to a vast reservoir of shared symbols and archetypes. Some encounters are not just personal, but universal. You meet someone who embodies the figure of the sage, the mother, the lover, the trickster, or the guide, activating ancestral patterns in your soul. This explains why some people seem fateful or mythical, appearing and disappearing when their purpose has been fulfilled. When the lesson ends, the relationship dissolves, the magic fades, and the experience is engraved in your spiritual development. Have you stopped to think how many significant encounters you've had that seemed insignificant at the time, but years later you discover they marked a turning point in your life? How many people came to activate emotions or lessons you weren't ready to receive until your unconscious determined it? Every encounter has its reason for being, even if you don't understand it in the moment. Life, from a Jungian perspective, is a web of synchronicities where the internal and external intertwine with precision, inviting you to grow, to integrate your shadow, to know and love your soul in all its dimensions. The encounters that challenge us emotionally, that make us cry, that enrage us or seduce us, are disguised gifts. They are silent teachers, mirrors and archetypes that impel us to see what we have avoided for years. Every conflict, every loss, every apparent betrayal is a reminder that life does not act at random. Every person who touches your path has a symbolic and psychological purpose, a lesson to integrate. The challenge is to look beyond the surface, to ask, what is this person showing me about myself? What part of my soul needs to be recognized now? If you decide to open yourself to this view, to this Jungian perception of life, you will notice that relationships cease to be simple human interactions and become windows into your unconscious. You will learn to read the messages that each encounter brings, to discern which patterns repeat, and to understand the energy that each person contributes to your inner world. What once seemed like pain, confusion, or coincidence is revealed as a profound design, as an invisible choreography between your inner self and the forces of the collective unconscious. One of the hardest truths to accept is that people leave your life when they complete their symbolic role. We cling to them because of the feelings they awaken in us, because of the intensity of the connection, because of the illusion that their presence is indispensable. But from the soul's perspective, their task is already finished. Your conscious mind may wish for the relationship to continue, but your unconscious has already absorbed the lesson that person offered. That is why they disappear, move away, or separate dramatically. The ego resists, but the soul knows it has already received what was necessary. Therefore, when grief knocks at your door, it is worth asking, not why they left, but what did they awaken in me? That simple question has the power to turn pain into alchemy. When you begin to observe your life from this Jungian perspective, past relationships acquire a new meaning. That close friend who betrayed you taught you your limits. That ex-partner who undermined your confidence showed you your dependencies. The stranger who comforted you during a panic attack reflected the healer that dwells within you. Jung invited us to see our history not as a random chaos, but as a meaningful chain of interconnected events. Each encounter with a purpose, each person with a symbolic role to play. A book that perfectly complements this idea is The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. Murphy explains that it is not the conscious mind that directs our decisions and relationships, but the subconscious mind. What we feel, believe, or fear deeply attracts experiences of the same nature. If you carry beliefs of rejection, abandonment, insufficiency, or unworthiness, these manifest in relationships and situations that reflect exactly that. Your subconscious is fertile ground. What you sow, what you repeat in thoughts and emotions, grows and becomes your reality. This law of resonance shows that nothing in life is a coincidence. Everything is born from what vibrates within you. What's fascinating is that Murphy also teaches us that we can reprogram our subconscious by changing our beliefs, feeding our mind with new images, emotions, and perspectives. We modify our internal vibration and with it, the experiences we attract. Thus, repetitive relationships or cycles that seemed inevitable can be transformed into opportunities for conscious growth. Most relationships are not formed by rational decisions, but as a reflection of internal wounds, unintegrated aspects, or parts of ourselves that need to develop. If you feel you are always attracted to the same people or repeat patterns, understanding the subconscious mind can open a completely new door for you. Not all relationships come to complete you. Some just come to remind you that you are already complete. These bonds do not arise from deficiencies or voids to be filled. They simply exist, accompany, breathe beside you, and that in itself has a profoundly healing power. The relationships that truly heal are not the most intense or the most romantic. They are those in which you can be yourself, where you don't need to act, where your silence is respected, and your broken parts are accepted without judgment. In these relationships, the other person does not try to fix you. They walk with you as you rebuild yourself. Here emerges what Jung called the archetype of the inner healer. This energy awakens when someone listens to you, accepts you, and reflects you without fear or expectations. Being with someone like that is like finally landing in a place where you can breathe. But even these relationships can be challenging because true healing does not come from comfort, but from essential presence. The person in front of you can touch what you have hidden, not to hurt you, but to make it visible. And that sustained openness with compassion reorganizes what is fragmented. Most of us expect others to fill what we lack, but in healing bonds, there are no promises of completeness, only reflection, support, and truth. And although less dramatic, it is much more powerful. It returns your own inner power, which relationships based on need had diluted. The love that heals does not promise to save you. It reminds you that you can rebuild yourself. It strengthens you not to depend, but to walk consciously. It takes your hand, but does not hold you back. Some of these relationships come and go like seasons. They warm something inside you, make something flourish, and then they leave. What they leave behind, however, is lasting. They demonstrate that it is possible to form deep bonds without losing individuality. They come not to fill a void, but to remind you of what you already possess, what you had forgotten. And with that memory, healing begins silently, not from dependence, but from simple presence. Every bond awakens something in you, a dormant power, a forgotten wound, an unknown role, because the person in front of you is not just someone, they also awaken archetypes. According to Jung, archetypes are universal structures that exist outside of our consciousness, deep patterns that shape our emotions and behaviors. Someone can activate in you the hero, the protector, the rebel, the victim, the sage, the wounded child. And this awakening is rarely conscious. You simply feel it. You feel the need to protect, to be saved, to learn, or to release something you had ignored. Thus, each encounter becomes a mirror, a teacher, a trigger, or a guide. Everything has a purpose, even when it disappears as silently as it arrived. Sometimes you feel that life assigns you the role of a guide, or that a space suddenly opens up, where for the first time, you can be vulnerable. You don't always fall in love with the person in front of you, but with the role they awaken within you. And this explains why some bonds feel so intense, because they connect you with hidden parts of your soul. These archetypes are not fixed. They change as the relationship develops. The same person who one day makes you feel strong, the next can bring you down. This does not mean the bond is false. It only reflects that it touches different layers of your being. The person is the spark, but the fire is yours. It is easy to confuse this with love, when in reality, most of the time, it is an encounter with internal images. You don't just relate to the person in front of you, but with what that person awakens in you, with what they symbolize and represent emotionally. That is why some encounters leave an indelible mark, not because the story lasts for years, but because they awaken a part of your soul that has no name. And once that part is activated, it never goes back to sleep. It changes your gaze, your way of connecting, your way of existing. These awakenings are part of the individuation journey. Thanks to them, you begin to hear the inner voices that live within you. You are not just the person you choose to be, but also everything you still have the potential to become. The person in front of you activates this state of being with their mere presence. Nothing happens by chance. Every encounter is a mirror that reflects parts of you and offers you the opportunity to be more complete, more conscious, more authentic. Not all love has to be lasting. Some come to open you, others to break you. Even the breakup can be sacred, because the purpose of certain bonds is not permanence, but transformation. They come like fire, burn what no longer serves, and then they leave, leaving silence, emptiness, and longing, but also a new space. These bonds shake you, and many times they are the way the self reveals itself through a necessary separation. The ego desires permanence and security, but the soul seeks truth and movement. When life stagnates, love can erupt, like an earthquake, a kind of emotional alchemy that remakes everything inside you. You think you have lost someone, but in reality, what is lost is an old version of yourself that no longer serves you, and you were not ready to let it go on your own. That is precisely the role of some encounters, to shake you, to free you. Even if the other person is not aware, the energy of the bond already carries that purpose. Separation does not mean that the love was in vain, quite the contrary. It reveals what was hidden. It shows the idealized, dependent, or fragile parts. It shatters illusions so that something new can be born. It is difficult to accept that some stories do not end with a happy ending in the conventional sense, but perhaps the happy ending lies in the clarity that remains, in the strength that emerges, in the consciousness that expands. Every loss is not an end. Some are a beginning in another form. Jung understood these types of breakups as part of the individuation journey. Emotional collapse indicates an internal alignment. When love breaks, it shows what doesn't fit and prepares the ground for something truer, more conscious, more complete. Some people love you so much that, even without knowing it, they accept the task of breaking you. They take you out of your comfort zone, away from paths that no longer belong to you. They push you to be reborn. And although this hurts, it is also a form of love. These encounters are not mistakes in your destiny. They are profound alignments. With emotional maturity comes a time when you understand that some stories had to break, because only through that rupture could something more real emerge. Some people only come for a while. They don't stay, they don't become part of your daily life, but they leave a lasting impression. They open a door, awaken a dormant side of you, and upon leaving, they leave a silence. With time, that silence becomes a lesson. Not all bonds must be permanent. Some are transient, short, intense, and impeccable cycles. The soul knows that certain beings are only necessary up to a certain point. To stay longer would be to force something that has already ended. The ego clings, but the soul understands. Accepting that a cycle has ended does not mean denying its value. It is an act of respect for what was lived, without the need to keep it present. Forgiveness arises right there, not as an excuse, but as a liberation. By forgiving, you release the invisible tie that bound you to the past. You don't erase what happened, but you stop carrying what can no longer be changed. Forgiving is not justifying or ignoring the pain. It is choosing not to feed what makes you sick, recognizing that just as the other person did what they could according to their level of consciousness, you also did what you could. True forgiveness is not about others. It's about you, about the peace you decide to cultivate within yourself. Gratitude is not romanticizing. It is accepting. It is realizing that something changed, something awoke, something matured within you, even amidst tears and silence. Some people taught you with love, others with absence, but all contributed to your journey. Life moves in cycles, and each relationship brings a lesson. Some show what love is, others what it is not. Some heal, others break, but all, without exception, shape who you are. When you manage to feel gratitude even for those who hurt you, something changes. Anger dissipates, attachment weakens, the heart opens to the new. Not everything must be permanent to be valuable. Sometimes it is enough to accept and say, "Thank you for having passed through." Although they did not stay, they leave you lighter, clearer, more complete. The soul knows that everything came at the right time, and when the lesson ended, it left. Nothing happens by chance. Those who arrived, those who stayed, those who left, they all resonated with something that was already vibrating within you. Some came with sweetness, others like a storm. Some lifted you up, others shattered you, but all touched something within you, and that touch transformed you. They brought what you needed, even if it hurt, even if it seemed unfair, even if you couldn't understand it, because life moves along paths that your unconscious logic cannot see. Clarity comes after the dust and smoke have settled. The pain becomes a signal, the chaos a story, the other person a mirror. Every encounter serves a purpose: to awaken, reveal, teach, challenge, heal, and sometimes destroy all at once. Recognizing this movement is a sign of maturity. When you stop seeing people as luck or punishment and perceive them as part of your internal process, the story changes. You leave the drama behind and enter consciousness. The journey is not about controlling who comes or goes, but about observing what each being shows you, integrating what is activated, releasing what no longer serves, and making space for what is still being built. It is not about escaping pain, but about giving it meaning. As you stand here now, at the end of this journey, you must realize that nothing in your life was ever a coincidence. You have seen how every person was a bridge, every story a map, and every heartbreak a sacred instruction from your own soul. That painful ending was the beginning of your strength. That intense projection was a glimpse into your own hidden power. You did not meet anyone by chance. You met the parts of yourself that were waiting to be embraced. This wisdom is now yours to keep. The power to see your life not as a series of random events, but as a perfect unfolding masterpiece is now firmly in your hands. And with this new vision, I ask you to do something powerful. In the comments below, I want you to write one single word that describes the greatest lesson a past relationship, a messenger, taught you. Was it strength? Freedom? Forgiveness? Claim that lesson by writing it down, and let your journey inspire everyone else reading. As you do that, If this journey of introspection has truly ignited a fire within you, then I invite you to join our tribe. An incredible number of people who watch these videos all the way to the end are not yet subscribed. Don't let this be a fleeting moment of clarity. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell now, because our next video will take you even deeper into the mysteries of your soul, and you cannot afford to miss it. Press the like button to anchor this powerful new awareness into your being. You are no longer walking this path alone. The next video, the next reflection, and the next profound truth are all waiting for you. The only question left is, are you ready to become who you were always meant to be?